Good afternoon. This is a head, heart, and handwork, and it's been what, 2 weeks? 3 weeks? Something like that. What have I been up to? I've been working, that's what I've been up to. So, a couple weeks ago, I was working on my normal rotation, and like, you know what? I want to stitch something for Halloween. So I pulled this out of my Friend Stitch pop-up kit, and I stitched it up. So this is the, what is this? Does it have a name? Moonlight Magic by Amy Birkin. And there we go. I did a little change. I did not like the super red color she picked for the darker. And so I swapped it out for a different orange and then realized that the other pale orange I was using was almost too close. So I added some back stitching to give it definition. Okay, so that was weird, but it did allow you to actually read the pattern. This took me 2 weeks, but in the midst of working on that, I was working on my normal rotation stuff. So I'm also doing the 25/7 challenge. So I would work on my daily piece for that 25 minutes. And then when I was done, I'd switch to that. So let me show you what I did on my 25 minutes, 25/7 challenge. So for the last 2 weeks, I've been working on this. The way that my rotation works is that the last week of the month and the first week of the month, I'm working on the same project because I only have 4 objects in rotation. So this is it. Hold on. All right, I have been working on this needlepoint mermaid. Like I said, I am multi-crafter. I do lots of things. What did I finish during this 2 weeks? I finished stitching this star, which is a very cool fiber. And I did this star in the exact same one, and I did this one. This is called Sprinkles. I don't remember what this is called. I liked working with this. This little green star here is supposed to be beaded, as is this one. But it's slow going, but that's okay. This is the first time I've worked on a needlepoint in a really long time. I am thoroughly enjoying it. It's the only problem I'm having, but I've got carpal tunnel on both of my hands, and holding up frames and things is difficult. So that's the only problem I have with that piece. But I like the stitch variety and the figuring out compensation when doing needlepoint. The other thing I was working on is this one's called Bury Me. And all I've done so far, because yesterday was the first day of this rotation, I did her hair and her face. I'm hoping to finish this one up relatively soon. I'm going to work on this one hardcore because I want this done by the end of the year. I realize that way too many of my cross-stitch projects are BAPS, big-ass projects, not products. Anyways, so they're big. They're going to take me multi-year. The biggest one is that French alphabet sampler. The fabric is like 42 inches across. It's 26 pages long, 250,000 stitches. It's insane. It's going to take me some time. I've also been getting just a little bit of knitting done. I got obsessed with the cross stitch, so I've been spending my spare time on that instead of knitting. So I've got 2 knitting projects. One is this sock, and I turned to the heel. And that I need to do at home. This is generally my church knitting. I sit in the back pew with a whole bunch of other people, including my husband, and we knit during service. And it's a good way to help me pay attention. So I generally get at least an inch on a sock during service, and I work on it other times, like going out to dinner, waiting for that. I remember asking someone who knit all the time, or got a lot of knitting projects done. And I asked her, so how do you accomplish getting so many projects done in such a short amount of time? And she said, always be knitting. She knits constantly. Something is always in her hands. The only time something isn't in her hands is when she's eating or working. So waiting for something, she's cooking and waiting for something to cook. She's knitting. At the restaurant, waiting, knitting. Traffic lights, knitting. I have to admit, I've done that myself. So the other thing I've been working on knitting is my recalibrate, fix the sleeve, and I got going on it. I also got sick in the middle of that. I was like super sick for a while, and it wasn't COVID, and I didn't have a runny nose or sniffles or sneezes or coughing or anything, but I was, however, extraordinarily exhausted. I couldn't stay awake. I was sleeping like 12, 14 hours a day. It was insane. So I got a little bit of knitting done during that. The other thing I've been up to, I have been reading. Let's talk books. Okay, so I read when I'm sick and on my phone. I read a lot of trash novels, which is fine. Entertainment is a good thing. So while I was sick, I worked my way through 4 of the 5 Stariel books by A.J. Lancaster. And the story begins with the ingenue who had been away and comes back home and ends up inheriting the family estate. It's a magical world, but reads early 20th century Britain, for lack of a better phrase, like most things. When you do fantasy stuff, instead of like 19th century or 18th century, it's early 20th century. The first one is called The Lord of Stariel. I enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun having the female taking over as the lord of the estate and the problems thereof, and getting involved with her butler, and it was just fun. There's very little sex in it. It's not very spicy. It's almost pure romance. Really good. I read the first 4 because I decided. No, I read the 3. I read the 3 because I really didn't need to read the 5th one about the cousin or the brother finding somebody. Okay, the other book, I literally just started it last week. It's by Ben Dobson, and what is this one called? It's called The Flaw in... I forgot to turn off. Flaw in Magic. Let me double check. The Flaw in All Magic. Let me get that right. So, the premise is really cool. And if you like the Harry Dresden series, you'll like this one. It's almost flipped completely. So in Harry Dresden, you have one of the few magic users in a non-magic world. That's our world. Dresden is contemporary. This one, you have a non-magic user in a magic world who's solving a murder mystery. The murder was kind of obvious to me because, I've read a lot of stuff. So it's like, oh yeah, he did it. No big deal. I still enjoy it. The world building is great. The characters are awesome. He has a sidekick who is half orc, half human, who's completely invisible to magic. So the enemies can't find them. He even has a woman cop. He has his own Murphy. There's a woman cop who she's mad at him. So, and doesn't like him, and doesn't like the way he does his stuff. So it's if you liked Dresden, you like this. It's a great world to play in. I just read the book in like 2 days, and I just downloaded the second book, and I'm really looking forward to reading the next 5. Let's see what else. If you enjoyed the House Witch trilogy by, Delamac, male protagonist, which is always fun to see in a romance, he's the House Witch. Another one just got released, and it's called The Burning Witch. I haven't had a chance to read it yet, but I downloaded it. I read a lot of books through either Libby, through my library, or I have Kindle Unlimited. If I read something on Kindle Unlimited that I really liked, I will go and buy it from the author because I believe in paying people for their work. I also recently downloaded my favorite romance series from my teenage years. So I'm looking forward to going through that whole, it's like 12 or 15 books, which is Bertrice Small, the Sky O'Malley series. Let's see, what else? Okay, so what have I been listening to? I've been listening to Wendell Berry. It's read by Ron Swanson, Nick Offerman. I've only seen that man act once. I just finally saw an episode of Parks and Rec. I've known him as an author. He writes great books about Americana and living in this modern age. Let me go check the name of that Wendell Berry book, because of course, I forgot the title. The name is Unsettling of America. It's a long book. I'm kind of enjoying it. It's kind of philosophy and thought. It was written in the early 70s. And so far it's got some good things to say, but I'm also hearing this overly paternalistic voice of this guy saying this is the way it needs to be. That being said, I am enjoying it, so I'm not ready to throw it out the window, and I will finish it up before I return to the library. So I hope you have a wonderful day and some happy making.